Hello everyone. I'm over here still chewing my dinner that I wolfed down in like 5 minutes. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Let me try and turn this up a little bit. And tap the screen. Hey Jeff. Tap the screen and let me know if you can hear me okay. Let's see. Good evening, Morena. And for those of you who I'm not who are not on the scope that often, I may not know your name. So if you can just share with me your names, I'd like to be able to address you. I sound great. Thank you so much. And Greenmaker, if you can share with me what your name is, please. Hello, everyone. And thank you for tuning in this evening. As I was sharing with the others, thank you for the hearts. As I was sharing with the others, if you can let me know your first names is fine. We don't need to do first and last names. Hello, Gerald. Let me see if I come over here. Looks a little dark, so I'm going to come over here. That looks a little better. Hey, Morgan. Welcome. Welcome to the Scope. Thank you for sharing, Jeff. Okay. Hey, Mildred. Yeah, so I guess you guys know where I am now. I'm 7 months natural and loving it. All right, Morgan. And sometimes if I forget your name, hello, Robin. Thank you for joining. If I forget your names, just, put it again. Pretty unique girl. Thank you for joining tonight. It looks dark to me. Let me know if this looks clear enough to you guys, because the screen looks a little dark to me. And I'm sitting here with my Afro puff. It's clear. It doesn't look dark. Okay. Looks dark to me. The light is fine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's Morgan. And again, thank you. As you comment, if you could just put your first name, it just makes it easy. Until I get accustomed to seeing your handle, then I'd be able to address you by name. And thank you for joining me tonight. So for those of you who know, tonight's scope is going to be about when you visit with your natural hairstylist. Hello, Alicia. Oh, pretty unique is Alicia. And I know you've told me that before, but thank you for reminding me. So before we get started, just so all of you know why I'm speaking from this perspective is actually that I am a natural stylist. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. My name is Abena Palmore. I work in a salon in the Bronx, where I live, in the Bronx, New York. The name of the salon is the Gifted Hair Clinic. It's located at 3511-1 Boston Road. It's at the corner of East Chester, and it's very near to Co-op City, which is a landmark area in the Bronx. Near Co-op City is near Westchester. It's the northern part of the Bronx. And so you can find me, hey, Mrs. Hair today. You can find me, and I was telling everyone, if you can also just let me know your first names, and I should probably know your first name by now, but I always address you as Mrs. Hair today. So I'm doing my introduction. I was sharing with everyone that you can find me at Gifted Hair Clinic in the salon between Tuesdays and Saturdays. My off days are Sundays and Mondays. Thank you, Donna. And I'm there by appointment. So if you want to just stop by, sometimes if I'm not already with a client, if I don't have an appointment, you may not find me there. So make an appointment if you want to have your hair serviced with me. And I'm there between Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then also you can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Embrace Natural Beauty. Thank you for sharing. My YouTube channel is Embrace Natural Beauty, where I share simple tips and techniques that have been helpful to me in my own natural hair journey, which has been literally 4 years, that has helped me to maintain my hair and to keep it in good condition and to retain length, because retaining length has been my goal. And I want all of my viewers and all of my followers to maintain their hair, to keep it in good condition, and to retain length if that is also your goal, so that you enjoy your hair and embrace natural beauty of your own. And so that is what I share on my YouTube channel. For those of you who are already following me, then you know that. And then I'm also, you can find me on other social media platforms such as Instagram at embrace_natural_beauty. And then here on Periscope and on Twitter at embrace capital letter N for natural beauty. So that's Embrace in Beauty. So I thank you all again for my, listening to my introduction. I know there were some comments that went through, but I actually do have a topic that I would like to get onto for this evening, and that is, some of you had actually asked me, you were going to your appointments and you said, Abena, what should I ask my, stylist when I go see her, or what should I expect from her? And so a number of you, it was enough of a request coming from different people that I decided that it would be a good idea to go ahead and do that. So tonight, I know I put the top 10. It may come out to be about 11, but let's just go ahead and get started. And if you have any questions in between, I'm certainly good at, responding to your comments. So the first thing, when you go to meet with your stylist, what I like to do is I like to find out about you. So meeting with you directly helps me to get that opportunity to touch your hair, to see you and everything like that physically. But some questions that I cannot ascertain just by touching your hair would be like, what is your diet like? Your diet plays a huge role. So that's number one. Your diet plays a huge role, in your hair. Your hair, what are you consuming? Because as you know, the nutrients that you consume are going to first go to those areas of your body that need it the most, like your heart, your brain, your lungs, your blood cells, things like that. So your nails and your hair get the remnants of the nutrition. So, for example, I have a client who came to me. She said she'd always had long hair, but for some reason her hair had been breaking. She's never been able to retain length since her hair has been natural. So she was thinking that being natural was not good for her because she wasn't able to wear her hair long. But there are a number of things that, there are a number of other factors that I'm going to get to that played a role in what's going on with her hair. But one of the major roles is her diet. She shared with me when I asked her, so what do you eat like? And she said, I always, I eat Burger King, McDonald's, fast food, and I drink a lot of soda. So that's not something that she was doing before. It's not something that she's always done. It's different. Her diet has changed, and she's taken on a diet that's not going to be conducive for, healthy body, and your hair is a part of your body. So that's one thing to be aware of. And when you go to your natural hairstylist, she's going to ask you, he or she is going to ask you, what is your diet like? That's just one of the things they're going to ask you because it does impact your hair. Another thing is, what is your exercise life like? Do you have a fitness routine? And is it consistent? Me, for example, I go to the gym. I try to go every other day if I can. I try to be disciplined. Sometimes it's not every other day. Sometimes it's at least 3 times a week. And sometimes I fall off the wagon and I make it to the gym 2 times in 1 week. But, going to the gym, for those of you who don't know, when you're working out, especially doing cardio, you are getting oxygen, that's flowing through your body that's also impacting your hair. And so it helps the blood to flow, and it actually really helps your scalp and your follicles to actually produce stronger fibers. Not necessarily make the fibers stronger, but actually because your follicles or because of your scalp is going to be in better condition, then your follicles will be in better condition when the hair pops out. These are minor things, but if done consistently. Why do my neighbors always make noise when I'm on the scope? Excuse me, let me just close this door. They're out there screaming. You probably couldn't hear them, but I could. So yeah, if you're doing cardio especially, you are getting to your scalp, the oxygen and the blood flow is going to be helping your follicles with the hair growth process. So it's not going to make it go faster, but it will keep any hindrances that would come about clogging your follicles. It would help to reduce that. So that's a great thing to do, to watch your fitness routine. Another thing that your natural hairstylist is going to ask you is if you're taking vitamins, if you're taking medication, and if you've recently had any surgeries. A number of my clients who have experienced excessive hair loss or excessive shedding has been related to a medical condition. And oftentimes what happens is it's not in the forefront of their mind. All of a sudden they're experiencing, a lot of shedding or a lot of breakage. And once you dig deeper, you find out, oh yes, I did have, surgery recently, or I've been taking this medication to remedy, a health issue that I've had. So taking vitamins, taking medication, and experiencing any hormonal imbalance in your body is going to impact your hair. So it's very important. If your stylist did not ask you that, then you want to provide that information. Try not to hold that out, because you don't want to make it difficult for your stylist, and you don't want them to have to be, you know, a magician, or, you know, have to figure everything out for you. You want to be honest, you want to be open, and you want to be forthright with any information. There are 3 people in life that you don't want to lie to. They are your doctor, your lawyer, and your hairstylist. We're going to find out, but don't make it difficult. So like if you are experiencing something, or if you've gone through something, you know, it may be something you forget, it's maybe in the back of your mind, or maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing it. But if it's going to impact, you know, your hair care, it's going to be a good idea to share that information. So like, you know, one thing that people try to hide from stylists often is, you know, if they've had any color. Say for example, if their hair is dark, but they had bleached it blonde, and then they colored it dark again, and then they tell you, oh no, I don't have any color in my hair, because they colored it dark. And you can't readily see unless you see a difference, you know, a line of demarcation where their hair is slightly different. You can say, oh yeah, I see you have color. So then you as a stylist have to let them know, or we as stylists, what we do is we let you know that if you're going to get another color process, or if you're experiencing anything as far as dryness, it will very well be related to the fact that you have had color treatment to your hair. So try to be forthright and honest in assessing your hair with your stylist by giving them all that background information. So that is, we've already done your diet, we talked about your exercise, and we talked about medication and vitamins and any past surgeries, and hormonal imbalance. So that's number 3. Number 4, we're going to ask you about your hair care routine. Now, your hair care routine includes whether or not you're, you know, how often you cleanse and condition your hair. And if you're cleansing your hair, how are you cleansing it? Are you only clarifying with like ACV, you know, apple cider vinegar? Or are you using shampoo? And if you're using shampoo, are you using a shampoo with a sulfate or sulfate free? Or if you're not using shampoo at all and you're conditioner washing. So these are the things that your stylist is going to want to know to get an understanding of what your hair is doing, how you are treating it, you know, on a regular basis. So if you are cleansing and conditioning your hair, how often are you cleansing and conditioning? Is it weekly, or is it bi-weekly, or is it every other week? And then also in between that, how are you caring for your hair? Are you putting your hair in twists for a week, and then the next week you're taking and wearing it out? Are you wearing it in protective styles for several weeks at a time? At night, how are you preparing your hair? Are you wearing a silk scarf? Are you wearing a bonnet? Are you sleeping on, you know, a silk pillowcase or a satin pillowcase? These are some of the things that are a part of your regimen that is not going to be readily available to your stylist. So you want to either offer the information if they do not ask it, or they will ask you. So these are things that are going to be very important to discuss with your natural stylist. Wow, this is going extremely fast. I'm flabbergasted. You guys are great. Let me just take a swig of water. Hello. And as I was sharing with everyone, if you can please share your name, just your first name, when you make any comments. I'd appreciate it. I'd like to be able to address you by name. And thank you for joining. Hi, I shared with everyone that my background is I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I'm a natural hairstylist in the Bronx. And hi, Patricia. Thank you for joining this evening. You've only missed like the first 5 points that I've discussed. And I went through it in record speed. I went through it very quickly. But I will provide a recap. So at this point, we've already discussed, you know, diet, exercise, medication, vitamins, taking vitamins, whether or not you've had surgery, just to get the background information on the person who's coming in to get their hair styled with a natural hairstylist. So we've also talked about discussing your current hair routine. You know, included in that, you know, whether or not you're cleansing with shampoo, and if that shampoo has sulfate in it or not. If you're cleansing with maybe just apple cider vinegar, so you're just doing clarifying, or if you're just doing conditioner washing. So we talked about that. And then you'd also want to share with your stylist what those particular products are that you're using. There are a number of very popular co-washing systems out there, and even shampoos and conditioner sets out there that you can be using. So it's good to know if you're doing like No Poo from Diva, I think it's Diva Curl has their own product line. I haven't tried it yet, and people have asked me to try it. But it's just good to know what you're working with. So yeah, so we're talking about all of these different things that you're going to be discussing when you go to your hair appointment. So the next thing your stylist is going to want to know is, what are your hair goals? You know, it's different how you're going to be handling your hair if you want to just have fun with your hair and you just want to do different things, or if you're planning to actually retain length and you want to see how long your hair can grow. So when people ask me, is it okay if I color my hair? And I say, well, you know, what are your hair goals? What is it that you're looking to achieve? There's nothing wrong with coloring your hair for two reasons. Color doesn't necessarily mean you're damaging your hair, but when I'm working with someone who wants to retain length, what I want to encourage them is you want to do the most that you can do to minimize wear and tear on your hair, or minimize making your hair become weak. And so even though color doesn't necessarily automatically damage your hair, it does have the potential of making your hair strands weaker, because the integrity of your hair strand is now being compromised because there has been a chemical change to it. It's no longer in its natural state. So understand that if you want your hair to retain length, like my goal has been to retain length, and I'm 4 years natural. I'm going to take this puff down now. I don't have any color in my hair. You know, I have you know, some grays in the front. Do you suggest having layers cut with hair blow dried, wet curly or dry curly? Robin, we're going to address those questions if you can bear with me in just a moment. Let me just go through these really quickly, and then I'll be happy to take, you know, your questions. So yeah, my hair's been up in a puff since this afternoon. I was outside, you know, it was very windy. And so like I was sharing with people, a lot of people say to me, you know, you've got some grays in the front. I noticed you got some grays. Would you ever consider coloring your hair? And I say, you know, it's not that coloring is bad, but because my goal is to retain length, I'm doing the absolute minimum, you know, to my hair in order to give it the foundation that it needs to continue to grow without having anything hinder the process. So I don't want anything to slow it down. I don't want anything to take me off track. That is my first priority. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was to reach the longest length that I had ever had, you know, when my hair was in its relaxed state, which was in the year 2003. I documented it, and it was at a certain point, you know, in the middle of my back toward closer to the waist. Not completely to my waist, but close enough. And so at this point, being 4 years natural, I've reached that. So now I'm trying to see if my hair will grow longer. And I'm giving it another year. Then after that, I really probably don't want to see how much longer it would grow if it continues to grow. But yeah, so I like to ask people, what are your hair goals? I also like to ask them, what are some of your concerns? For example, do you have anything excessive going on with your hair? Do you have excessive breakage? Do you have excessive shedding? Do you have excessive tangles? Do you have excessive single strand knots? And so if they do, then I like to explore a little bit more of what could be causing, you know, these excessive behaviors to be happening with their hair. Another thing I like to ask my clients about is if they use tools. Some people like to avoid tools and feel that tools would be damaging to their hair. Now, truthfully, anything that we do to our hair is potentially damaging. It's just a matter of how much damage as opposed to how much good it could potentially do. So when it comes to using tools, I actually recommend using tools such as using your fingers first when you're detangling, of course having some conditioner on your hair, but then following that up with a wide tooth comb. We all know what a wide tooth comb looks like, but I'll show you mine. You know, my lovely wide tooth comb. And then what I do is I follow up with a fine tooth comb. Yes, this goes through my hair every week. But what I do is, you know, I detangle first with my fingers, and by the time I've detangled with my fingers, I can actually go from the root down to the ends with my wide tooth because it's already detangled with my fingers. And then when I go to the fine tooth, I start at the bottom and then I work my way up. So I would never start up here with the fine tooth, but only at the bottom. And the reason why I use the fine tooth is because I want to remove, especially with this length of hair, I want to remove any of the loose hairs that could still be trapped in there by just combing through with a wide tooth. Wide tooth is not going to pull out all of the loose hairs. So if I have a lot of loose hairs, they could potentially cause single strand knots and tangles, and then that leads to breakage. So with hair this long, I totally recommend using tools and going in that order of finger detangling, wide tooth comb, and then a fine tooth comb. So that's tools. This is going to be number 8. I usually like to ask my clients, do they retwist their hair every night? And a number of people do. When you're retwisting your hair in order to maintain that definition, understand that that's more wear and tear on your hair. The more you manipulate your hair, the more wear and tear you put on your hair, it will become weaker. As your hair becomes weaker, it has the potential to break. So what I like to do is minimize anything that's going to lead your hair to breakage, including excessive manipulation like retwisting. So like if I were to wear my hair in a twist out, I most likely would not retwist my hair the entire week. The entire week. I would wear it the same way I do my wash and go, no manipulation whatsoever. For some people who want to get a little bit more definition, I would say, okay, try to not do so many twists. Maybe make them a little bit bigger. But your whole goal is, if your goal is to retain length, if your goal is not to retain length, go ahead. You're not concerned about that. Your concern is mostly about the now, look now. My concern for growing hair long or retaining length, because your hair is going to grow anyway, is to minimize the manipulation to the hair, so I don't retwist. And if you're going to retwist, try to minimize, do less of them, and not to make them so tight, because you're wearing down your hair. So that's retwisting. That was number 8. Number 9, like I had said before, this is kind of coming around circle now. Your natural stylist is going to ask you if you have any color treatment to your hair, if you've ever colored your hair, and how long ago you colored your hair. And sometimes I find that people, give different type of responses, maybe because they just don't remember. But, we can look at your hair, and I tell people, I can see some color here. So if you're saying you didn't color your hair for maybe it's been about 6 months, then if you have color here, and this is your natural hair here, your hair only grew about this much in 6 months. So are you sure it's been 6 months since you colored it? I mean, if it's been 6 months, then that's letting you know what your growth rate is like. That's not a lot of growth rate for 6 months. So either, you just don't remember, or maybe you're not comfortable saying it's been, I just colored it 2 weeks ago, because you're concerned that your stylist is not going to want to do certain things. Be honest. Again, there are 3 people you don't want to lie to. You don't want to lie to your doctor, you don't want to lie to your lawyer, and you don't want to lie to your stylist. We're going to find out anyway. But in order to get the best care for your hair, you want to be honest, you want to be truthful. It's not about shame, it's about giving you the best care, for your hair, for what you need. So this is actually number 10. Another question what we're going to ask you is if you do any heat styling. And if you do heat styling, how often do you style with heat? Do you use, a blow dryer with a nozzle, with a concentrator nozzle, or do you just diffuse? Do you use a flat iron? And if you do, how high is the flat iron? And are you using heat protection? Is it you who's actually applying the heat, or someone else? Are you getting it done by someone else? And are they using the heat protectant? So those are things that we were going to ask you. And if you are heat styling, we're also going to want to know, are you following up with that with a protein treatment? And I'm going to get into protein treatments more in depth in another conversation, but as a stylist, I actually do not encourage people to do protein treatments on their own, and that's only because there have been so many mishaps with doing protein treatments where people did not need them, and they've done them and they've dried out their hair, and their hair has become brittle and it started breaking. So what I like to do is recommend to people to make sure that you include that you're using products that contain protein in the ingredient listing. So that way your hair is constantly getting the protein that it needs so that you have that balance of moisture and protein. But really you want to do protein treatments when you're doing things that are going to impact the integrity of the hair strand and make it become limp, make it become weak, and make it have an elasticity issue. That's when you want to employ a protein treatment. But if it's just a matter of, just a routine thing, you can get protein from most of the styling and most of the conditioning products that are on the market. And I like to do protein treatments in the salon based on the person's hair. So I have different types of protein treatments, whereas when you buy them from the store, you're getting something that was made in general and does not know all the intricacies of your hair and what you're going through. Maybe the entire head doesn't need the protein treatment. Maybe you just need it in a portion of your hair where there is an elasticity issue, or where you've had some type of heat damage. So it's really important that if you are going to do protein treatments, if you can possibly, seek out a natural hair specialist, or just make sure you're doing it in concert with those things that require it, such as heat styling, such as color treatment. That's when you really need to do protein treatments. But if the average person, you're just doing like wash and go, you most likely will not need the protein treatment. If you are doing a lot of manipulation to your hair, you may need a little bit more protein than someone who's just doing a wash and go and has a very low manipulation, manner of styling and treating their hair. But again, be very cautious with these protein treatments, and if you do use a protein treatment, follow it up with a nice moisture-rich treatment. Make sure that you're getting more moisture back into your hair after you do that protein treatment, which is going to be very, very drying. Okay? And that was about heat styling and how often. And so finally, so that was 10. I'm going to give you one more because it actually was going to be 11, but it doesn't look good to put 11 in the title. Another question that your stylist is going to ask you is, how often do you trim? And so there is a number of different responses that you get from different professionals as far as how often you need to trim. Some will say every 3 months or when the seasons change. I typically am good with every 4 months. So in a calendar year, I will trim my own hair 3 times. Some will say anywhere between 4 and 6 months. It all, in my opinion, depends on the condition of your hair. For example, I notice that if the hair is in a damaged state, if it's very weak, if you're experiencing a lot of split ends, if you're experiencing a lot of breakage, especially on the ends, and it's going to travel up to the root of your hair, you're going to want to get rid of those ends. They've been very weathered, they've been very damaged, they've been very frayed, and they could impact, those hair strands by going all the way up to the top, and now you lose not only that portion that you didn't want to cut off in the trim. Ooh, look, that little loopy. That little portion that you didn't want to cut off for that little trim, and now you're losing an entire, hair strand. So is it worth it? I've had people come to me who haven't had a trim in like 2 years, and now they're losing, how much hair? Because they waited 2 years, without getting a trim. Is it really worth it? I mean, you can literally get a trim every 3 or 4 months and just take off, hang on, I'm trying to get this lighting. Take off just a little bit. Get a nice little fuzzy one here. Yeah, this is a 7-day wash and go, by the way. So yeah, just take off that little, you see where that little curl is? That's how much I take off every 4 months with my trim. And like I said, this is 4 years of natural hair growth. My hair is well down my back, and I trim systematically every 4 months. Trimming is good because your ends get frayed, and all they're going to do is split and then travel up to the root, and then it's going to break off, and you're going to lose all of that hair. Or you're going to have, a lot of tangles, a lot of single strand knots, causing you more breakage and causing you more tangles and making it harder to detangle. So do yourself a favor, go ahead and get a regular trim. Just choose, what manner or what time frame works best for you and your hair care, the condition of your hair, which I recommend, and you may want to go ahead and discuss that with your natural hair stylist. So that's my list. I've gone through it all. Let me know if someone came in midway, and if you need a recap, I'd be happy to share that with you. Otherwise, at this point, I'm happy to take, other questions that you may have. And I'm going to drink some water now. I've been talking. I've never talked this much straight on the scope. I usually have, interaction with you all. This was weird. It's like I'm just looking at myself talking, but I know you're there. I know, because I see. I didn't see that many hearts. I don't know if you like it. I couldn't tell. You can tap the screen and let me know if you like what I shared. And you can also let me know if you need, thank you. You can also let me know if you need a recap. Hey, Deshanika. Thank you. Yeah, I have a number of followers who have asked me, they said they're going to their stylist. Yolanda, hi, this is Yolanda. Do you clarify your hair? Okay. Actually, no, I don't. I would only clarify my hair if I felt like I had buildup. And because I wash my hair on a weekly basis with shampoo that has sulfates in it, I'm getting a clean scalp and clean hair on a weekly basis. So I, for that reason, do not clarify. And so, like I was saying to everyone, I don't know if you caught it, a number of my followers had asked me, they're going to make an appointment, and they want to know some things that they should be looking for. They want to know some things some questions that they should ask. And these are some of the most, intricate parts that you're going to ask on a general basis. And then as you ask questions and the person gives you more of their background and tells you what has happened, then there are follow-up questions that go into that. And of course, you all who know me know that I talk a lot about porosity, and that's something your natural hairstylist is going to assess for you, because I do have a number of people who come to me and say, oh, I know I'm low porosity, or I know I'm high porosity because, whatever. And so I get in there and, truthfully, you can only tell what's going on completely with someone's hair once you have washed it, once you've wet it and shampooed it. Because anything that's on the hair right now could be giving off a false, representation of your hair. So it's not until we wet the hair and actually shampoo it that we can really see what's going on when everything has been removed, and really see what's going on, and then go about, conditioning it and so forth. I'm just reading the message that came across the top. So yeah, let me know if there were any other questions about what I shared. Let me know if you came in late, if you need a recap, or let me know if there are any other comments or questions that you have for this evening. Hello, Miss Marley, and if you can also share your first name. Hi, Robin. Do you suggest cutting long layers on straight hair or curly if the hair is worn curly? Now, that's another thing. It's really going to be based on your stylist. I'm coming to see that other stylists have their way of doing things. Like some stylists like to cut, yeah, Donna, right? That's a good question. Some stylists like to cut completely on wet hair. Curly, wavy, no matter what, they like to cut on wet hair only. Some like to cut, like myself, I like to cut your hair if you're coming for a shape, I like to cut your hair in the way that you wear your hair. So for me, I wear my hair in a wash and go. If someone wears their hair in a wash and go, I like to cut it in this state. Dry, curls already set, because you can see, like I'm going to stand up, you can see where some curls like to hang longer. And that doesn't bother me. Actually, I like that. So that's my signature thing. I just like that. So, but if you really want to be particular and you want to see where everything is falling, it helps to see the hair in its natural state, the way that you normally wear it, and just go ahead and cut it that way. So that's what I like to do. Some people like to cut it straight because they can still, pretty much get the shape that they want. Then they will curl it up and then go in and finish. But again, it really is based on the stylist, and especially if this person is someone that you trust and you're going to be working with them over the course of, maybe a year or something like that. You want to stay with them if you like them as a stylist. You may want to just go ahead and work with them if you're comfortable with it. But make sure that you have that conversation, because most importantly, it's your hair. You can trust their craft, trust their talent, trust their skill. But if it's something that you're adamant about, if it's really important to you, you know, that you as a curly girl do not have your hair straightened, like some of my clients don't want heat to their hair. So I moved completely away from using, you know, heat or having the hair straight in order to cut their hair, especially if they're going to wear it curly. So I cut hair from a twist out. I cut hair that's been stretched from a twist out, if that's the way that they wear it. But most importantly to me is, how are you going to wear your hair the most often? Is that the way you want your hair cut? Because that's the way I would recommend that we cut it, and that's what I tend to do. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you all for the hearts. So what about someone who dabbles in both styles? If you are wearing, you're welcome, Robin. If you are wearing your hair straight and you can still have your hair cut in layers in a curly state and wear it straight. Again, it's up to you and your stylist. You can have it cut in layers on straight hair and still wear it well both ways. Likewise, the reverse. You can have it cut, you know, in its curly state and still wear it straight. And if it's cut well, you will have those layers. So it's really up to you. I mean, twists and wash and go styles. Oh, okay. So that's a huge difference. Your wash and go is going to be truly, you know, the way your hair falls, because a twist out is going to stretch your hair so that they're more uniform. So your wash and go is really indicative of, you know, where your hair is falling. So I would actually want you to cut it with the style that you wear the most, because if you cut wash and go hair and you wind up wearing your hair stretched and twist out more often, then it's going to be slightly different. If it's uniform when they cut it, then when you wear it in your twist out, it's going to remain uniform. And with that, I'm going to take another swig of water. Thank you again for the hearts. How's everyone doing? You're very welcome, Alicia. Was there anything new that I shared with you that you have questions about? Welcome back to Shanika. Was there anything that I mentioned that you have questions about? Anything that's new? Anything that you're concerned about? Or anything that you think we didn't talk about that you would like to discuss, you know, in a natural hair setting with your stylist? Wow, you all are quiet tonight. I'm not quite accustomed to that. Thank you for the hearts. Do I recommend going to a salon while transitioning? And if you can share with me your first name, please, while I answer this question. Not sure if you're talking about this or not. What do you do when you have hard water? I know that there are adapters that you can put on your shower head. Okay, Keisha. There are adapters that you can put on your shower head, I believe, to soften the water. I think some people, thank you, Marlena. I think some people have mentioned a system that they've had to use, especially like in places like California. I'm here in New York. Our water is pretty decent, but I think in California that they actually do use something like that. I don't know the particulars of it. I'd be happy to look into that and share that with you later. Please briefly recap, Trina. Okay, so Trina, I will recap. I wanted to go ahead and answer this question really quickly. It was regarding whether or not you should transition by going to a salon, or go to a salon when you're transitioning. I think it's a good idea. I think people are concerned, especially those who I've worked with, they're concerned about doing things right. And it's such a good peace of mind to meet with someone who you know has already gone before you, who's already worked with other people in a professional setting to circumvent any mishaps that they may have had in order to get you on the right track. Once you know you're on the right path, then you'll have that peace of mind. You won't be stressing yourself out about, oh my goodness, am I doing this wrong? And then your transition will be just that much better. It's good to get recommendations of people who you know have already worked with others and have had a good track record. If you're going to someone, who's licensed, who is a professional, who knows natural hair, who has gone through the transitioning phase, who can advise you on those things, then you would be in good hands. Trust, make sure that person, has done a good job of transitioning before. You can go to someone, and if you can't see for yourself, if you don't have the peace of mind to know that they've actually gone through this, then that may not be the stylist for you. So you still have to find your comfort level with your stylist. And, not every stylist is for every client. It's up to you. You don't have to go, just because someone is, in the vicinity. Some people have traveled to me from very far because they want to work with me. Find the stylist that you feel most comfortable, is concerned about your hair care needs, and making sure that you reach your goals appropriately and professionally. And you will have that peace of mind when you go and you're on your path toward transitioning to your natural hair. You will have that peace of mind, which is going to be most critical to your transitioning process. Now, since there's a lull, I'm going to go ahead and you're welcome. And just that quickly, because there were so many things going on, I don't remember every name. There was a text message coming up. These phones are just doing all kinds of things. So let me do a recap. So what I was sharing on tonight was, for some of my followers who have asked me if they're going to meet with their natural hairstylist, maybe for the first time or what have you, what are some things that they should ask, or what are the things that they should expect, in their visit? And so I had mentioned that there were 10, but there's actually 11. So I'm going to run through them. The first thing is your stylist is going to want to know about your diet, because your diet, what you eat, what you consume, impacts, essentially the strength and the health of your hair, because your body receives the nutrients from the foods that you eat, and it goes to those organs, those parts of the body that are going to be most critical for survival, for your livelihood. The last thing to receive nutrients is your nails and your hair. So it's only going to receive the remnants of your healthiest, food. So if the healthiest thing you're eating is McDonald's and Burger King and sodas, you're eating a very high sugar and very fat content, diet that has very little nutritional value, it's going to impact the health of your hair. You'll see it in your nails, and you're going to see it in your hair. So your diet is very important. You're going to talk about that with your stylist. You're also going to talk about your exercise routine, whether or not you're consistent, how often you exercise, because doing especially cardio exercise is going to help get oxygen, flowing through your body, which is also going to help your blood flow, which impacts, your scalp and getting, those follicles, strong follicles for your hair to grow out of. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, you're going to be talking about your medical, composition, like if you've had, any surgeries in the recent past, if you're taking medication, and even if you're taking vitamins. Vitamins, by the way, just so you know, I do not recommend people to go out and take vitamins. People do that because they want to grow their hair long, and vitamins are essentially designed to fill any imbalances that you have in your body. So they're not necessarily designed to make your hair grow. Your hair grows based on your genetics, and your hair retains length based on your behavior. So genetics and behavior impacts your health, your length retention, but your genetics impacts or influences your hair growth, your growth rate, and so forth, and how long your hair is designed to grow is based on your genetics. but keeping it on there is really about your behavior. So if you have a deficiency, if you have an imbalance in your body, and you take a supplement to fill in that gap, then it will help to resolve whatever those issues were. But if you are taking vitamins and your body did not have an imbalance, you could now be putting, hey Jan, you could now be putting your body into, an imbalance. So that's why I never recommend outright to people go ahead and take vitamins, even though I know that you can get them over the counter. I always recommend that you see your doctor first. Let them do blood work on you and let you know where your body is lacking and what types of vitamins or supplements you stand in need of, where you are deficient, and then go about getting vitamins that meet those particular deficiencies. And most likely you will see, an improvement in all things health-wise, including your hair, provided that you're also, coupling that with a good diet and good exercise, so that you're getting the full circle of the healthy benefits to your body, which is going to eventually get to your hair and your nails last. So that's number 3. Number 4, we're going to talk about, your hair care routine. How often do you wash your hair? Do you wash your hair with shampoo that has sulfate in it? Do you wash your hair only with, apple cider vinegar rinse? Do you only clarify like once every 2-3 weeks or once a month? So you're going to want to discuss what your hair routine currently is, if it's been changed, how long you've been doing it that way. So you're going to talk about that. You're going to talk about what products you use, what products you may avoid, and so forth. You're going to talk about your styling products as well as your cleansing and conditioning products. You're going to talk about whether or not you, how you care for your hair at night. If you put your hair in a bonnet, if you put your hair in a silk or satin scarf, if you sleep on a satin pillowcase. You're going to discuss what your nighttime routine is, your daily routine. Do you spritz every day? Or do you add or reapply product to your hair every day? Do you refresh, your wash and go every day? Do you refresh, your twist? Do you retwist every day, and therefore applying a lot of product and a lot of manipulation to your hair? So all these things, all this type of background information is something that your hairstylist is going to need to know in relation to what's happening with your hair. So we're not just looking at your hair, we're not just wetting your hair and assessing it based on what we see and feel, but also based on what's actually been going on with your hair to see how it's going to perpetually, continue on that process, or if you need to make some adjustments. Some other things that I talked about that your stylist is going to want to know about you. They're going to want to know if you've had any concerns about your hair, such as any concerns about dryness or breakage, especially if there's anything excessive, like excessive breakage, excessive shedding, excessive tangling, excessive single strand knots. And then we're going to, try to find out what are some of the behaviors that you've been engaging in that may lead to that. I know a lot of, hand and hair syndrome, a lot of touching, a lot of moving around sometimes impacts, how your hair gets more and more tangly. I noticed that since I've been scoping, I've had hand and hair syndrome. Because normally when I'm at home, you saw how I had my hair up. Sometimes I just have my hair up and off my neck. But when I'm scoping, I want you guys to be able to now see. And my hair gets caught in everything. If Jeff is still in here, he knows. My hair gets caught in everything. Whenever I go out with my friends, I show them, okay, so the hair survived. It was caught in my watch. Happens. Anything, anywhere I go, my hair gets caught. So I like to, let me just take the watch off. So I like to keep my hair up when I'm in the house, usually up and out of my way with a silk scarf. That's all I put on my hair. I usually don't put anything else on my hair. So that was, I went over 6 things. Now I'm on to number 7. If you use tools, we talked about if you use tools. Some people like to avoid using tools, but I like to use my fingers to detangle first, of course, when my hair is saturated with conditioner. Then I follow that by using a fine tooth comb. And usually by the time I've detangled with my fingers, I can go with the fine tooth comb from the root all the way down to the ends, because the width in between these teeth is not going to grab that much. And for that reason, because it doesn't grab that much, I like to finalize my detangling with a fine tooth. Yes, this is the fine tooth comb that I use in my hair. The reason why I use this is because any loose hairs that I did not get when I detangled with my fingers and with my wide tooth, I want to pull them out with my fine tooth, and they usually do get caught in there. It's usually not that much, But all it takes is just a few loose hairs in all this hair here to wrap around, other hairs and cause like easily 10 hairs to get tangled. And then I'll have these, single strand knots or duplicate, multiple knot. I mean, a knot that's tangling up multiple hair strands, and then wind up losing several hairs because I didn't use this. So that is why I use a fine tooth comb to cut down on single strand knots and just tangles and just keeping those loose hairs to a minimum. Because I know I can't quite get them all, but at least if I can get the majority of them good. So that's what I said about tools. And then we talked about, whether you're retwisting every night, how that is going to be a lot of manipulation in your hair. And so just be mindful of that. If you can cut down on, maybe the number of nights that you retwist, or if you're still going to retwist, just make them a little bit bigger so you're not twisting as much and you're not doing them as tight. But again, it's all based on your hair goals. Don't let anyone tell you, what you should or should not do based on anything other than your hair goals. So your stylist wants to know, these are your hair goals, like such as mine, to retain length, then you want to be very low, manipulation on your hair, because you're going to reduce over manipulation, which will help to retain more length. So that's what I would say. Your stylist is going to want to know if you color treated your hair. And when was the last time you color treated your hair? And if you used a box color. I did talk about, color treating your hair doesn't necessarily have to be damaging. It's just that because it is a process that you're putting your hair through, you are going to be, causing it to be in a weaker state than it would be if it were not colored. It doesn't have to immediately lead to damage, especially if it's done, by a professional. And the reason why I recommend having a professional color your hair, a professional colorist who really specializes in color, is because they're going to know how to process your hair, in different areas of your hair. Like certain areas they're going to process, especially closer to your hairline, they're going to process much faster. And in certain areas it's going to take longer to lift. And so knowing what level of volume to use in different areas, knowing how long to allow the color to sit, or allow the processing to sit on the hair, in order to achieve the lift, and not over lifting the hair in stages, but taking it gradually, level by level, your professional is going to know that. You're not going to get that from a box. So if your concern is to have hair, that you retain length, then you want to do the minimal when it comes to causing, damage or wear and tear or weakening of your hair. So anything that you can do to minimize that is what I encourage. But I'm not going to say you don't color your hair. I'm just going to say it will impact, your hair's ability to remain as strong. Whereas if you didn't color it, you don't have that concern. That's one less thing. You're minimizing, the potential of damage and weakening your hair as you strive toward your goal of retaining length. So I will also ask you, number 9, if you do any heat styling. And if you do, how often? And what does that heat styling entail? Is it just blow drying, or does it entail flat ironing? And if you're using heat protectant, and if it's you doing the heat styling, or if it's someone else, or if you're just using a diffuser. So these are just different things that I would ask you about your heat styling to know where, the potential for heat damage may be to your hair. And then finally, number 11, that was a bonus, but it was really 11 altogether, was, how often do you trim? Some people, some stylists, some professionals will recommend that you trim your hair every 3 months. Some will say based on the seasons. As seasons change, you should trim your hair because the season is changing. Trim your hair along with the seasons. I personally trim my hair every 4 months. And then some stylists will say trim your hair anywhere between every 4 to 6 months. But truthfully, I do believe it has a lot to do with the condition of your hair. If you have a lot of shabby ends, if your hair is very weathered on the ends, if they are really in bad condition, what's going to eventually happen is those ends are going to be splitting and chipping and then traveling all the way to the root and causing not only that portion of hair to be not in optimal condition, but it will also impact all the way up to the top. So you would lose, instead of losing that small portion, you would lose all of this. right? So it's better just to go ahead and trim small increments every 3 or 4 months, or some people may say 6 months if your hair is not, you know, in bad condition, if your ends are good. Go ahead and do that. I personally trim my ends. If you can see it, I'm trying to get the lighting. I trim about, this lighting. Trim about, if you can see that, I trim about this much off. That little curl comes off once every 4 months. And for 4 years, you know, this is the length I've gotten by trimming that way. So trimming is good. You don't have to over trim, but trimming is necessary in order to keep those ends that are going to get weathered just because they're old, to keep them from traveling up to the scalp and splitting off and causing, you know, more breakage and other areas of your hair as well. So that's it. That's the recap. That's everything that we talked about. You guys have been great. You've been with me. You've stayed with me. You've given me a sprinkle of hearts, which I truly appreciate. This was the topic for the evening. I hope to be able to come to you more. If you let me know what else you would like me to scope about, I'd be happy to do that. So that way, you know, these sessions are giving you what you need and what you're looking for in order to help you in your natural hair journey, to make it, you know, a better process for you to be more at peace and more at ease with the things, the choices that you're making, knowing that you've made, you know, educated choices that are going to be optimal, you know, for getting you to your goals. So thank you for tuning in. Again, this is Abena Palmore, natural specialist, natural hair specialist, licensed cosmetologist, specializing in natural hair, working also with those who transition from relaxed to natural. I work in a salon here in the Bronx, New York, where I live. The name of the salon is the Gifted Hair Clinic. It's located at 3511-1. You're very welcome, Jan. It's located at 3511-1 Boston Road, corner of Eastchester, near Co-op City, in the northern part of the Bronx, near Westchester. And I'm in the salon Tuesdays through Saturdays by appointment only. And then on Sundays and Mondays. Monday is my wash day. Sundays and Mondays are my days off. Monday is my wash day. So you know, you guys, when you reach out to me, if you don't hear from me on a Monday, it's because I'm taming this mane here. And so also, you can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Embrace Natural Beauty, where I share simple tips and techniques that have been helpful to me in my own natural hair journey, that have helped me to maintain my hair, to keep it in good condition so that I retain length, which has been my goal for the past 4 years that I have been natural. Because I want all of my viewers and all of my followers to maintain your hair and to keep it in good condition so that you retain length and enjoy your hair and embrace natural beauty of your own. So you can find me on YouTube at Embrace Natural Beauty. You can also find me on Facebook at Embrace Natural Beauty and on Instagram at Embrace_natural_beauty. You're very welcome. And you can find me here on Periscope and on Twitter at Embrace, capital letter N for Natural Beauty. So that's Embrace in Beauty. So I thank you all for sharing with me on this evening. I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your questions. I thank you for your hearts. And I look forward to the next broadcast. We did it at 8 o'clock tonight because those of you who said that 9 o'clock, you'd prefer 8 o'clock. So I hope it worked out for you guys. And let me know if you want me to do 8 o'clock again next week, or if you want me to go a little bit later, and I'll, you know, try and accommodate that way. So again, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and a good start to your week on Monday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. So in closing, the point that I want to make is, when it comes to, I'm trying to bring this hair down. When it comes to your ends, you don't want to wait until they are extremely bushy to decide to trim them. You want to get them before they become really raggedy and start to split. So like right now, my ends are still very, very workable. You see I don't get the bushy ends when I define them. I get nicely defined ends. And it's not until I start messing with it, and this is on my day 8, day 7 of my wash and go. So and now I'm pulling them, and I'm actually pulling out the definition by messing with them. But see, it has retained, you know, curl definition for a full 7 days of a wash and go. My ends are behaved because they're not, you know, they're not past the point where they're going to be a problem. So I catch them before, and now I'm going to frizz it out. So I like to catch them before it becomes a problem. Okay? So again, it's just that little circle that's going to be trimmed. And hair will continue to grow, but retaining lip, it's really important that you do certain things as far as your maintenance, and this is one of them. Here's another example of an end that's about to be cut. So it curls up really pretty. So it's not like my ends are really bad, but I like to do them systematically every 4 months. So that will be the portion of hair that's going to be clipped. And then if I frizz it out, you'll see what it's looking like without, when I frizz it out. Okay, so just the portion that's curled is going to be cut off when I trim. I'm really feeling myself. So I wanted to say, with all this wonderful curl definition, from that super wash and go that I got this week, I can see why a lot of people would want to go longer, because I can do this. This is day 7. I do stuff like this just before I wash it because I'm not concerned about overly frizzing it out. But this one I could have done, a lot more to fluff it out, to make it fuller. And it's just, a matter of, something you're getting used to doing. So, but this is day 7, that's when I get really adventurous. But yeah, so I could totally do the wash and go the same way, apply the products the same way, record it this time, and just do more fluffing. Because the definition is fierce. This is day 7, I'm able to do this and fluff it out without, without getting a lot of unwanted and unnecessary frizz. Maybe just the low porosity area. So yeah, if I were to frizz it out, which, I'm very gentle with my hair, but if I were to, see how that nail is catching it here? So that's why I don't like to do that. But anyway, yeah, if I were to do this, I could get some really big hair. I just wash and go. That was super defined. But of course, I'm doing this on wash day. I didn't do this yesterday. Could have done it yesterday while I was on the scope with you guys. Could have fluffed it out. But yeah, this is, when I fluff out my hair, this is what, what it looks like. I love it. I wash. But then it's okay because, I need to wash my hair. Some people would go for another couple of days with this wash and go. But because I like to cleanse my scalp, especially around the temple areas, wherever product starts to sit, I like to wash my scalp once a week. I'm going to go ahead. It's tempting. Trust me, it's tempting. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead. See, now that I'm frizzed it out, it's nice and stiff. Oh, yeah, good stuff. Totally do that. So I may very well just do the same application, and I'll show you guys, what I did, and then I'll just fluff this one out more. That's what I could do to get the results out.